Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese. Ghostly Tales from Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you a story called Lian. A person named Yang Yue moved from another place to the banks of the Sea River. His study faced an open wilderness, and outside the courtyard wall, there were many ancient tombs. Every night, Yang Yue could hear the white poplar trees rustling, the sound resembling the rushing waves, incessant in his ears. One night, as Yang Yue was sitting alone by candlelight, he suddenly heard the sound of trees and wind outside the window, making him feel infinitely melancholic. Suddenly, he heard someone reciting poetry outside the courtyard wall. In the profound night, a chilly wind blows in reverse. Fireflies flutter, touching the grass, and gently clinging to the curtain. These mournful and desolate verses repeat over and over again. As he listens more carefully, the sound is delicate and melodious, resembling that of a woman. This only deepens Yang Yue's suspicion. The next morning, at dawn, he went to the outside of the wall, carefully searching but found no trace of anyone. Only a purple ribbon was left tangled in the thorns, so he picked it up and placed it on his own windowsill. At midnight, the mournful verses resumed from outside, just like the night before. Yang Yue stepped onto a stool to look over the wall, and the recitation immediately ceased. Suddenly, he understood that the woman reciting poems must be a ghost. Nevertheless, despite this realization, Yang Yue had already developed a deep admiration for her. The following night, Yang Yue crouched on the wall, waiting quietly. As the first watch of the night approached, he saw a woman slowly emerging from the bushes. She supported herself with a small tree, head bowed, still reciting the sorrowful verses. Yang Yue coughed lightly, and the woman immediately disappeared into the tall grass. Undeterred, Yang Yue continued to hide beneath the wall, waiting until the woman finished reciting, then, from the other side of the wall, continued with the last two lines of the poem. The melancholy sentiments and bitter emotions, who can perceive them? Under the cold moon, the emerald sleeves rise in solitude. After chanting for a long time, the surroundings remained silent. Yang Yue helplessly returned to the house. As he sat down, he suddenly saw a beautiful woman walking in from outside. She adjusted her clothes and approached Yang Yue, bowing as she said, "You are truly a cultured scholar, but I've been avoiding you due to my timidity." Yang Yue was pleased and invited her to sit. The woman appeared slender and frail, carrying a cold aura, as if her body couldn't bear the weight of her clothes. Yang Yue asked her, "Where is your hometown? Have you been staying here for a long time?" The woman replied, "I am from Longxi, and in my early years, I roamed with my father. I died of a sudden illness at the age of 17, and it has been more than 20 years now. In the netherworld, it is desolate and lonely, like a solitary duck in the wilderness. The two verses I recited were written by me to express my grievances and sorrows. I pondered for a long time but couldn't complete them. Today, thanks to you for continuing my writing, I feel joyous and comforted in the netherworld." Yang Yue wanted to sleep with her, but the woman frowned and said, "I am already a pile of bones in the tomb. It's not like being with the living. If you sleep with me, it will reduce your lifespan. I really can't bear to let you suffer calamity because of this." Yang Yue listened and refrained. Later, Yang Yue reached out to touch the woman's chest. He felt that her breasts were still like those of a virgin. He wanted to see the woman's feet under her skirt, and the woman lowered her head and said with a smile, "You are too persistent." Yang Yue laughed and stroked the woman's feet, noticing she wore moon-white silk stockings. One foot had a colored thread, and the other had a purple garter. Yang Yue asked, "Why didn't you put garters on both feet?" The woman said, "Last night, when I was avoiding you out of fear, I don't know where the garter went." Yang Yue said, "Let me put it on for you." He took the garter from the window sill and handed it to the woman. The woman asked in surprise where he got it, and Yang Yue truthfully recounted the events of the previous night. The woman took off the colored thread and put on the garter. Later, the woman casually flipped through the books on the table. When she saw the poem, Lian Cheng Gongzi, by Tang Dynasty poet Yuan Zhen, she sighed. "This was my favorite poem when I was alive. I didn't expect to see it again today. It's like a dream." Yang Yue and she continued to talk about poetry, realizing she was very intelligent and lovely. They sat by the window under the lamp, chatting intimately, as if they had both gained a good friend. From then on, every night, as soon as Yang Yue heard the woman reciting poems, she would appear without delay. The woman repeatedly reminded Yang Yue, saying, "Please be sure to strictly keep our secret. Don't tell outsiders. I have been timid since childhood, and I'm afraid that malicious visitors will bully me." Yang Yue promised to keep the secret. Their relationship was harmonious, intimate, and though they didn't share a bed, they were as close as a married couple. The woman often copied books for Yang Yue under the lamp, with a neat and gentle handwriting. She selected 100 palace poems and transcribed them, reciting them for Yang Yue. She also had Yang Yue set up a Go board and purchased a pipa for the study. Every night, she would teach Yang Yue to play Go, and if they didn't play, she would play the pipa for him. The woman could play tunes like Jiao Chuang Ling Yu, with a mournful melody that touched the heart, making Yang Yue unable to endure the sadness. At times, she would switch to playing tunes like Xiao Yuaning Sheng, and Yang Yue would feel a sense of relief. The two of them would play and enjoy themselves under the lamp, often getting so engrossed that they forgot the dawn had already broken. Whenever the woman saw a ray of dawn through the window, she would hurriedly leave. One day, a friend named Shuesheng came to visit Yang Yue, only to find him sleeping with his head covered during the day. Shuesheng saw a pipa and a chessboard in his room, even though he knew Yang Yue was not skilled in these things. While flipping through a book, Shuesheng also noticed handwritten palace poems with neat and graceful handwriting, raising further suspicions. When Yang Yue woke up, Shuesheng asked him, "Why do you have a pipa and a chessboard at home?" Yang Yue made up an excuse, saying, "I wanted to learn these skills." Shuesheng then inquired about the handwritten poems and songs, and Yang Yue falsely claimed they were written by another friend. Shuesheng carefully examined the handwriting and saw a small line on the last page that read, "On a certain month and day, copied by Lian Suo." Seeing this, Shuesheng laughed and said, "This is clearly the lady's nickname. How can you deceive me like this?" Yang Yue felt extremely embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Shuesheng continued to question him persistently, and Yang Yue remained silent. Shuesheng picked up the copy of poems and songs, ready to leave. Feeling uneasy, Yang Yue had no choice but to reveal the truth. Shuesheng insisted on meeting Lian Suo, and despite Yang Yue conveying the woman's plea for confidentiality, Shuesheng's admiration for Lian Suo overpowered his sense of discretion. Reluctantly, Yang Yue agreed to introduce them. That night, Lian Suo arrived, and Yang Yue informed her of Shuesheng's intentions. Lian Suo, upon hearing this, became particularly angry and scolded him, saying, "Didn't I warn you? I never expected you to blabber everywhere." Yang Yue then informed Lian Suo about Shuesheng's insistence, repeatedly trying to justify himself. Despite Yang Yue's efforts to explain and console her, Lian Suo couldn't shake off her displeasure. She stood up and bid farewell, saying, "It seems our fate has come to an end." Despite Yang Yue's earnest persuasion and explanations, Lian Suo remained discontented, deciding to temporarily avoid Shuesheng. The next day, Shuesheng came again, and Yang Yue informed him that Lian Suo had no intention of meeting him. Shuesheng suspected that Yang Yue was deliberately avoiding and deceiving him. That evening, Shuesheng, along with 2 other classmates, visited Yang Yue's home. Despite the late hour, they made excuses to prolong their stay. These individuals intentionally caused disturbance, creating a night of loud commotion. Yang Yue felt extremely angry but was helpless against them. For several consecutive nights, the group caused disturbances, yet there was no sign of Lian Suo. Feeling bored and considering departure, the noisy atmosphere gradually subsided. Suddenly, a recitation echoed from outside, and everyone present listened attentively to the haunting and poignant voice. Shuesheng was completely engrossed, and among his friends was Wang, who had a fondness for martial arts. Astonishingly, Wang picked up a large stone and threw it towards the wall, shouting, "You ghost, hiding and refusing to meet guests. What kind of sentimental poetry are you reciting, crying like that? It's truly annoying." The recitation abruptly stopped. Everyone criticized Wang, and Yang Yue, infuriated, scolded him loudly. The following day, these individuals finally left Yang Yue's home. That night, Yang Yue stayed alone in the empty room, hoping that Lian Suo would come again, but there was no sign of her. After 2 more days, Lian Suo suddenly appeared, crying as she said to Yang Yue, The wicked guests you attracted almost scared me to death." Yang Yue hurriedly apologized to her. Lian Suo left in a hurry, and before parting, she said to Yang Yue, "I already said our fate has come to an end. Let's not meet again from now on." Yang Yue tried to persuade her, but Lian Suo had already disappeared. From that day on, Yang Yue waited anxiously for over a month, but Lian Suo never came back. Yang Yue, consumed by regret, neglected food and sleep, wasted away in daily remorse. One evening, while Yang Yue was drinking alone, Lian Suo suddenly lifted the door curtain and walked in. Overjoyed, Yang Yue asked her, "Have you forgiven me?" Lian Suo, tears streaming down her face, soaked in her clothes, remained silent. Anxious, Yang Yue inquired about what had happened, but Lian Suo hesitated to speak. Finally, she said, "That day, I left in anger, but urgent matters brought me back to seek your help. I couldn't help feeling a bit ashamed." Pressed further by Yang Yue, Lian Suo continued, "A dirty and vile constable appeared, forcing me to be his concubine. But being from an honorable family, how could I bow my head to this despicable wretch? Unfortunately, being a fragile woman, I couldn't resist him. If you are still willing to treat me as your wife, you must not tolerate his actions." Enraged, Yang Yue wanted to confront the constable, but he hesitated, considering the difference between the realms of the living and the dead. Lian Suo then told him, "Tomorrow night, go to sleep early, and we will meet in our dreams." They spent the night reminiscing like before. Before leaving, Lian Suo instructed Yang Yue not to sleep during the day and to wait for their dream meeting at night. Yang Yue eagerly agreed. The next day, after Yang Yue had consumed some alcohol in the afternoon, feeling a bit intoxicated, he lay down on the bed and unknowingly fell asleep. In a daze, he suddenly saw Lian Suo arriving. Lian Suo handed him a dagger, took his hand, and led him to a courtyard. After closing the courtyard door, Yang Yue was about to ask what was happening when they heard someone smashing the door with a large stone. Terrified, Lian Suo said, "My enemies have come." Yang Yue, enraged, rushed out by opening the courtyard door, only to find that the intruder was a constable wearing a red hat, clad in black, with a thorny beard on his mouth resembling a hedgehog's fur. Yang Yue angrily confronted the constable, who reciprocated with hostility. The constable spewed venomous words, infuriating Yang Yue, who charged at him ready for a fight. The constable, in turn, picked up stones and hurled them at Yang Yue, with one hitting his wrist, making him drop the dagger. In the midst of the peril, Yang Yue spotted someone from a distance. The person had a bow slung over their waist and was engaged in hunting. On closer inspection, it was Wang, the martial arts enthusiast. Yang Yue loudly called for help, and Wang, hearing the plea, rushed to the scene. He shot an arrow that struck the constable's thigh, and with another arrow, the constable screamed and fell dead. Yang Yue expressed immense gratitude to Wang, explaining the situation. Wang relieved that he had killed the constable, accompanied Yang Yue to Lian Suo's house. Lian Suo, trembling with fear and shyness, stood at a distance, cowering. Wang noticed a small dagger on the table, about a foot long, with a gold and jade inlaid hilt. He drew the dagger from its sheath, marveling at its gleaming blade that could cast shadows. Wang praised the dagger repeatedly and couldn't bear to part with it. After some casual conversation with Yang Yue, they bid farewell, noticing Lian Suo's shy and pitiful demeanor. After a while, Yang Yue returned home on his own. It was only when he stumbled and fell while climbing the wall that he abruptly woke up. By then, it was dawn, with village roosters crowing. Yang Yue realized his wrist was particularly painful, and upon inspection, he found the skin swollen and red. At noon, Wang came and told Yang Yue about a strange dream he had the night before. Yang Yue asked Wang, "Didn't you dream about archery?" Wang was surprised that Yang Yue knew about his dream. Yang Yue extended his hand to show Wang and explained the whole story to him. Wang, recalling the appearance of Lian Suo in the dream, regretted that he couldn't meet her in person. He was grateful for his assistance to Lian Suo and asked Yang Yue to convey a message to her, hoping that she would agree to meet him officially. At night, Lian Suo came to express her gratitude to Yang Yue. Yang Yue attributed everything to Wang and conveyed Wang's sincere desire to meet her. Lian Suo said, "I dare not forget Wang's kindness in saving me. However, he is a strong martial artist, and I am truly afraid of him." She continued, "I can see that Wang loves my dagger. This dagger was purchased by my father for 100 taels of silver when he was on a mission to Nanyue. I cherished this dagger so much that I wrapped it in gold thread and adorned it with pearls. At that time, my father pitied me for dying at such a young age, so he buried this dagger with me. Today, I am willing to part with it and give it to Wang. When he sees this dagger, it will be like seeing me." The next day, Yang Yue conveyed Lian Suo's sentiments to Wang, who was very pleased. In the evening, Lian Suo indeed brought the dagger and said to Yang Yue, "Please instruct Wang to cherish this dagger. It is not something produced in China." From then on, Lian Suo resumed her intimate interactions with Yang Yue, just like before. After a few months, one evening, under the lamplight, Lian Suo looked up at Yang Yue as if she wanted to say something. Her face blushed with embarrassment, but she hesitated several times. Yang Yue embraced her and asked what she wanted to say. Lian Suo said, "I have been grateful for your affection for such a long time. I have experienced the vitality of the living, tasted some worldly food and drink, and suddenly felt that my dry bones have gained a bit of vitality. But now, I still need some fresh human blood to fully revive me." Yang Yue smiled and said, "If you hadn't agreed, would I be willing to cherish my own meager blood?" Lian Suo added, "After being with you, you will likely fall seriously ill for more than 20 days, but taking some medicine can cure you." So, the two undressed, got into bed, and shared moments of pleasure. Afterward, Lian Suo got up, dressed, and said to Yang Yue, "I still need a bit of fresh human blood. Can you endure the pain and give me some?" Yang Yue took a sharp blade and cut his own arm to let the blood flow. Lian Suo lay on the bed, allowing the fresh blood to drip into her navel. Then, she stood up and said, "I won't come again. Please remember that after 100 days, if you see green birds singing in the tree near my grave, immediately dig up the grave and save me." Yang Yue earnestly accepted Lian Suo's instructions. As Lian Suo was about to leave, she reminded him again. "Please, remember it well and don't forget. It must be done on time." After saying this, she left. About a dozen days later, Yang Yue did indeed fall seriously ill, with his belly swelling severely. The doctor administered medicine, resulting in excrement resembling muddy sludge. After another dozen days, he recovered from the illness. Some time later, as Yang Yue calculated that the 100 days had passed, he instructed his family members to gather with shovels in front of Lian Suo's grave. By the time the sun had set, he indeed saw 2 green birds chirping in the tree. He joyfully exclaimed, "All right, everyone, let's begin." They cleared away the thorns and excavated the grave. They found that the coffin had long decayed, yet Lian Suo's face resembled that of a living person. Yang Yue reached out to touch her body and felt a faint warmth. They covered Lian Suo with clothes and carried her back home. Upon arrival, Yang Yue had his family place Lian Suo in a warm spot. Surprisingly, Lian Suo gradually regained breath, though her breathing was as weak as fine threads. Family members slowly fed her a bit of congee, and it wasn't until midnight that she fully awakened. Even later, Lian Suo would often say to Yang Yue, "Over 20 years felt like a dream." All right. That's all for today's ghostly tale. Lian Suo. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.